I've been diving into Dragon's Dogma 2 these past few days, and I've picked up some tips and tricks along the way. My aim is enhancing your overall gaming experience and providing initial guidance through the game's intricacies. Don't worry, I won't spoil any major storylines or key encounters. However, I might need to touch on some other briefly to illustrate certain points, but rest assured, it will only be a small glimpse of the vast world of Dragon's Dogma 2. It's crucial to maintain your character's weight in check close to the average level. This ensures that your character can run and move much faster while consuming significantly less stamina, which is essential for the extensive exploration in the open world, as we don't have any sort of mounts to traverse it. Once your character becomes overweight, movement slows down and stamina consumption increases drastically. However, you can easily lighten your load by depositing excess items in any of your pawn's stashes. Simply offload anything unnecessary into their inventory, and don't worry about the safety of your items. If your pawns die or are dismissed, they will automatically transfer to your stash without any risk of loss, just as in the first game. And there is a way to increase your carry capacity if you watch out for the luminous truth beetles. They offer an additional opportunity to permanently boost your maximum carrying capacity. These beetles can be found in the forest perched on trees, emitting a subtle glow that makes them easier to spot, particularly during the night. Each beetle you collect provides a permanent increase of 0.15 kilograms to your carrying capacity. What's more, you can apply these upgrades to both your character and your main pawn, promising a significant shift in your gameplay experience. Besides this, you also have an augment that increases your carrying capacity, so definitely play the fighter vocation until eventually you unlock that augment. The pace of this game will differ significantly, meaning fast travel options will be more limited compared to other open world games. Typically, you'll only have two choices: fairy stones or ox carts. Among these, ox carts are the most efficient and economical option. They are relatively cheap but only transport between two primary locations, such as major cities or towns. However, there's a risk of attack during the journey, which I've found to be around 50%. While dispatching enemies is usually manageable, it requires caution. Fairy stones, on the other hand, are slightly different, as they will instantly teleport you to the location. They've made a return from the previous game and can be obtained from treasures or purchased at high prices. However, they are single-use items, disappearing once consumed. Since they are scarce early in the game, it's advisable to use them for critical situations only. The next advice I can give you is to not spend too much time over your initial class choice, as it's relatively easy and inexpensive to unlock all vocations early in the game. However, starting as a thief might pose some challenges, so I would say opting for the fighter until you reach the capital is advisable for better defense and combat effectiveness. Upon reaching the capital, you can then freely switch vocations, each transition granting a set of items, therefore immediate access to combat. This eliminates the need to search for or spend money on class-specific items, which I believe is a big aid at the beginning. As you dispatch more foes, your chosen vocation will ascend in rank, and that means unlocking an array of skills and augments available from any guild member. So I would suggest regularly visiting those and making sure you expand your combat capabilities. Every vocation offers unique augments, attainable by leveling within that class. Notably, these augments remain accessible even if you switch vocations later. Maximizing proficiency across multiple vocations has its big importance, allowing for versatile mixing and matching of skills later on. With 6 available slots, strategic attention to vocation progression is very important, as you will have all sorts of encounters and boss fights, so you will need every bit of advantage that you can get. But it's not always as simple as it sounds, especially when you come across one that doesn't quite click for you. In my case, that was the archer. I found it stiff and unexciting, bored me in such ways I can't even express. It seemed like every button press led to a new level of absurdity and boredom, so I eventually abandoned the idea of leveling this vocation. Sorry for the slip up, let's continue our guide with the pawn system. Your primary pawn holds as much significance as your own character. They can share your gear, receive upgrades, and progress similarly to you. Whenever you visit a guild member, consider upgrading your pawn as well, adjusting their vocation if necessary. If your main pawn perishes, fear not, you can easily summon them back from any rift stone without losing any items. Hiring pawns from other players that you encounter along your journey, especially those at higher levels, can greatly benefit your journey. These pawns can effortlessly handle foes and guide you through challenges. While it may cost more rift points initially, you can swiftly replenish those. When selecting new recruits, prioritize specializations such as quest guides. Utilize the Go command to follow their lead on current quests, and they will guide you to the location. However, you need to have the quest in question selected from the menu, so make sure to do that as well. Consider logistician pawn for item management, or opt for hawkers for lower item prices, and foragers for resource gathering. And finally, changing them often, especially in the early stages of the game, whenever you find a new rift stone, can hugely benefit you in battle. So always be on the hunt for the best pawns. Next up, you have only a couple of save files to choose from, one of which is the load from last in. However, this could potentially set you back several hours, so it's best to avoid using it altogether. Instead, opt to load the previous save file, preferably the one just before the upcoming fight, or whichever is currently at the top of your list. Unfortunately, there's no way to recover lost progress once overwritten, so pay attention to that. In combat, there are many strategies to make it more manageable, and we will definitely have a guide dedicated to this topic. But I have a few recommendations, and one is to continuously infuse your weapons with elemental properties. Many vocations offer skills that can achieve this, such as the ability to infuse weapons with fire elemental effects, like in the case of the Thief. However, these effects often have shorter durations compared to those provided by dedicated mages or sorcerers, so it's advisable to include a mage or sorcerer in your party who can enhance everyone's weapons with the desired element. This can be accomplished either by assigning the task to your pawn or by having your main paw specialized in mage or sorcerer abilities. Particularly for thieves, targeting enemies' weak points such as striking at their heads or from behind to cut tails or other limbs can significantly amplify damage output and open up to finishing the enemies. And you will discover that using elemental for your weapons can even save your life. Take this liquid soup for instance, which is trying to boil you up. The only way to stop its annoying attack mechanic is by having your weapons infused with a dose of fire or electricity, otherwise you are dead. And there's much more, but like I mentioned, we'll have a dedicated video for this topic in the upcoming days. The world of Dragon's Dogma 2 is vibrantly interactive, featuring mechanics that allow for engaging with NPCs in funny and dramatic ways, including the ability to attack and even eliminate them. This extends to soldiers and residents within the villages, virtually anyone you encounter. In an early experience, I utilized this massive weapon from a tower to eliminate a general in one of the initial villages, whom I was meant to engage with for a side quest under the mistaken belief I could acquire his equipment. This decision was one I came to regret. Nonetheless, the game provides a reviving mechanic through the use of special stones that can resurrect NPCs at the morgue. Here you must locate their coffin and revive them. These stones, however, are rare and arguably better reserved for challenging boss fights where they offer a full restoration of HP and stamina. On another note, during one of the starting quests, my stealth attempt at infiltrating a prison was stopped by soldiers, leading to a fight. Luring them outside and defeating them did not carry the same regret since they aren't essential for any quests. Should they overpower you though, you find yourself imprisoned, which is surprisingly easy to escape from, and you can quickly reclaim your belongings upon exit, so don't stress about it at all. Finally, navigating through certain quests and parts of the game can be quite a puzzle, which is why it's crucial to be observant of your surroundings and even initiate conversations with random NPCs you encounter. Often these interactions can nudge you towards the next phase of your quest. In fact, acquiring information this way might be a prerequisite for completing some side quests. On one occasion, as I progressed through the main storyline, I found myself hitting a bottleneck during a masquerade, unable to identify the impostor Arisen. It was only after accidentally discovering a hidden door within the same building that I realized the importance of meticulous attention to detail, strategy that has since become second nature. So pay attention to any details, as this is not the game to guide you through, but definitely fun to play and enjoy each moment. That wraps it up. Thanks so much for turning in. I hope these tips prove beneficial and make your gaming journey smoother. If you found any of this helpful, hitting the subscribe button would mean the world to me. Thank you once again, and until next time.